Hey guys, finding the perfect gift for the food lover in your life is easy, thanks to Goldbelly. Goldbelly ships America's most iconic foods, straight from world-famous restaurants right to your door. So if you want to treat someone to Joe's Stone Crab from Miami, Franklin Barbecue from Texas, or desserts from famous foodies like Ina Garten or Martha Stewart, Goldbelly has you covered. Just go to goldbelly.com and for a limited time, get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT. That's promo code GIFT.
Welcome to episode 213 of Sports Management Podcast. Today's guest is Elias Gallego, the VP of Business Development, Marketing and Media at Sporty Group and Football.com. We spoke about the sports media landscape, expanding to Latin America, Africa and more, balancing brand consistency across media, betting, entertainment and tech, Elias's journey through sports, and much more. Elias Gallego, welcome to the Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you, Marcus. It's a pleasure to be here. Very excited about this chat.
Me too. It's great to have you on the show. So you are the VP Business Development, Marketing and Media at the Sporty Group and Football.com. So can you tell us a little bit about your role and these companies?
So I could do the long corporate description of Sporty and my role, but Sporty is all about entertainment, I would say, and of course with a strong focus on sports. We have media verticals, we have gaming verticals, we have a strong focus on technology as well. It's a business that was founded based on the technology, on being excellent in technology, but of course also it's all about serving our users. I started in Sporty Group 3.5 years ago, and my initial remit was more on the media side. There was no Sporty TV, no Sporty FM, but Sudeep, the founder of the group, had the intention of building a 24/7 sports dedicated channel in Nigeria. I think I joined in April 2022, and the intention was to launch this new channel by August this same year. So we had around 4 months to acquire rights, to set up a technical structure, to hire a team that could take care of distribution, of course, the media rights acquisition, and the playout of the channel. We launched Sporty TV Nigeria in summer of 2022, and we've been growing and expanding in different countries. But then my remits also started growing. I took responsibility over the offline marketing part of the group, closing the sponsorships, doing the media buying, especially in Africa. And the business development side is also about the expansion to new geographies outside Africa. We started operating in South America, in Brazil, very recently in Mexico as well. So that's now part of my daily task as well. But I still have a very, very strong focus on media, and that's my passion as well. So this is we built a very, very talented team that goes from content production, marketing, of course, business development. So we have a team of high achievers that have helped to grow Sporty Group to the point where we are right now, expanding. Very happy with the results, but with a lot of potential, of course, and sky's the limit for us.
I'm sure. And so Football.com is a part of the Sporty Group, right? And you have some extra responsibilities of that as well.
It's a partner brand. We acquired the domain a couple of years ago. Obviously, it's a very, very unique domain. And the intention that we have with Football.com is to build another global entertainment platform. We are about to launch, probably in the next week or so, the application, the app for Football.com that is going to be a live sport app. The intention is to have the fastest live sport app in the world, leveraging the uniqueness of the brand. We have Mourinho as a brand ambassador, and we want to offer unique functionalities to the users. So it's not going to be only about the live sports. It's news integration. It's the the experience when watching live games, ensuring that you have the access to the widest database, stats. And this is on a global scale, but Football.com is currently operating as an iGaming business in Nigeria and Ghana as well, growing. It's a young brand still, but getting recognition. So there are going to be two different verticals. One that it's going to be dedicated to more local markets in Africa, but the ambition is global. And again, here this is just the beginning.
You are expanding with Sporty Group and made an acquisition in Brazil and also looking at Africa. So how does the expansion plan look like for Sporty Group?
Before we consider further expansion, which is always part of the roadmap, and we're not close to further expansion, I think we first need to establish our brands in the countries where we operate right now. Sporty TV has currently presence in Nigeria, Ghana, where we launched in 2023. And this year, in 2025, we've launched in South Africa and Kenya. Sportinet is, so we acquired the channel non-negotiable in Brazil. The approach is a bit different because what we're doing with Sporty TV in Africa is having a very international approach. We're bringing mostly the most premium leagues in Europe, football leagues in Europe, and giving access for free to the African countries where we operate, to the African fans. It's a model that is working pretty well because we saw an opportunity in the market. There was a lack of reliable players operating in the free-to-air space that were able to acquire the rights to be, again, reliable on the technical side, ensuring that you provide a good access and a good experience to the users, but also being reliable in terms of paying to the rights holders. And there were many leagues that were struggling collecting the fees from African broadcasters. And we presented ourselves as the solution to this problem that some of the leagues were facing. The first problem is the lack of pay TV penetration. The pay TV penetration in Africa is still low. And there's always need for free-to-air consumption for a free-to-air package. And every league is offering Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, and Bundesliga. They all have free-to-air packages. Then ensuring that there is enough distribution, because you can acquire the package, but if you don't have the distribution, this means nothing. And then being reliable in terms of the financial background and ensure that you can keep paying to those rights holders, having a sustainable model. However, in Brazil, when we acquired non-negotiable, it was obviously a great opportunity because it has good penetration in the market, distribution with the main pay TV providers. But this is the key, still a pay TV channel. And we are changing a little bit the approach and moving a bit more into the free-to-air space. We don't have a free license in Brazil, but we're using YouTube as a platform to provide free access to some of the content that we have. And whilst in Africa, the strategy is more focused on international premium rights, yes, there will be some of these in Brazil, but Sportinet is much more focused on localized and domestic content. So we own the rights, exclusive rights for Serie C in Brazil. Serie C is the third division in Brazil, and probably in 90-something% of the countries outside Brazil, this would mean nothing, and the value of this right would be low. But Brazil is so passionate about football, and you have cities all around the country that they have their local historic club that is playing in the third division, so it still gets a lot of traction. We then acquire a couple of games per round of Serie B as well, the second division, and we are acquiring also some state championships. So this is the local approach, but then we're bringing Bundesliga, Coppa Italia, we have the French Cup, and we are open to further acquisitions, of course. The distribution that we have ensures that we get the coverage and reach required. But for instance, before we acquired the channel, all the Serie C matches were being transmitted under a paywall. Now we're doing at least 5 games per round on our YouTube channel, ensuring that we are offering free access to these competitions. And I think we are still trying to find the balance between, keeping the pay TV business alive and ensuring that it's profitable, but also replicating this model that we have in Africa of offering free access to premium football to the fans. So that's a bit the difference between what we're doing in Brazil with Sportinet and the strategy that we have in Africa with Sporty Group.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And also you mentioned like how do you balance that? And also like if you think like how do you weigh the investment between like original content production and the licensing that you said? Does that like differ between countries?
To me, it's a priority in every country. There is this famous quote, no, that content is king. I agree, but I think right now we're shifting to curated content is king. I think if you just acquire the rights and you don't localize the product, if you don't offer a package that includes a pre-game show, that it's entertained and that it's offering not only the news side, the information side of it, but also entertainment. I feel that this is more and more important. Cassette TV is doing an amazing job in that sense. No, it's not only watching live football, it's ensuring that you have the talents that are elevating the user experience. So in this balance, I can't say exactly what is the percentage that I would attribute to our own content versus rights acquisition, but definitely producing our own content, curating our own shows is going to be essential. And I think it's the key to success, not only in Brazil, but in Africa as well. With Sporty TV, for instance, we have a production hub here in Madrid where I'm based, because we also have a strong connection with La Liga, with Real Madrid. We are covering every Real Madrid game. We send our journalists, we interview the players, and we are offering access to the fans, not only to these live rights, to this live content, but we're giving them access to more exclusive content with the players, with the stars. It's also aspirational. We have another production hub in Lagos that is taking care of the pre-game and post-game for all the main competitions that we show. We're building a studio in Cape Town right now to ensure that we have more localized content for South Africa. Our approach is a little bit different. I believe that super localized content is important, but I also feel that the international approach, bringing international talent to Africa, also makes sense. They need to feel that they are connected to the talents that are on the shows. That we have, of course, presenters and pundits from Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, South Africa, and other countries. But we have British, we have people from Italy, Canada, France, Morocco. I think this is also adding value to how we are offering a viewing experience to our users. And in Brazil, we're also building a production hub that probably will be ready in the next couple of months. And the idea is to start producing as much content as possible on a daily basis, ensuring that we keep the users and the fans connected to the brand. It's essential to offer a 24/7 entertainment to keep those fans engaged with your brand.
And now we are shifting more and more towards like a mobile first, short form content type of approach. How are you adapting to that, or how do you look at that like mobile first approach? Is that something that you have as well?
Definitely. And I see this as the digital approach in general. We are very, very strong. We had a strong social media strategy focused on delivering short pieces of content that our users and our followers can consume instantly right after the action happens. So we're working closely with WSC, and we're using their services for all the main competitions that we have in Africa and in Brazil, so that they can see the best moments of every match right after the action happens. And this has built an enormous fan base of Sporty TV in Africa. and we surpassed the 1 million followers recently. And in Brazil, we're trying to replicate the same model. However, Brazil and Africa are quite different in that sense, because specifically in certain parts of Africa, in Nigeria or Ghana, for instance, the access to data, to mobile data, is still limited or expensive. So they're very selective when consuming content on mobile. The digital content that you produce needs to be very relevant to ensure that they actually want to spend part of their data in consuming your product or your digital clips. I think this is changing and it will be improved. And this is part also of our roadmap, like how we ensure that apart from the traditional distribution that we have via DTT, the traditional TV channel that is still super important and relevant in Africa, that we are offering the best mobile experience to our users. So we actually just rebranded a little bit an app that we had, sporty.com. Now it's Sporty TV. And it's basically an OTT. You can consume Sporty TV on a 24/7 basis. And we are offering also additional content that on a linear channel you can't. Of pay TV providers, they can just have 100 channels and ensure that every content that they acquire can be watched by the audience. However, sometimes if we have, I don't know, Carabao Cup and there is another domestic cup in Europe happening at the same time, there might be two overlapping matches. So we need to ensure that we're giving a second window to our users and that they can consume this other match if it's of their preference. They don't always choose the Carabao Cup or any other domestic cup. They might have the team in Italy or in Germany with DFB Pokal. And before we launched our app, this was also the approach that we were following on YouTube. So on our YouTube channel, we were offering standalone matches so that you could select the match of your preference. But of course, if we can do it within our own ecosystem, I think this adds more value to us, but also more value to our users, because we can offer additional functionalities that maybe YouTube is not offering right now.
Interesting. So Sporty Group is spanning like sports media, betting, entertainment, and more. So how do you manage brand consistency across these different verticals?
I think it's important to keep I love the idea of Sporty being the core part of our brand and the shared part of all the different verticals that we have. We have a branding team supervising this consistency. But every vertical is different. And the iGaming vertical, they have their own nuances. And we ensure that while keeping the consistency, that we can localize each brand depending on the geography and the type of business that where we are operating. So the betting business is completely different to the media business. I think the treatment of the product on social media, on billboards, even from a corporate perspective, needs to be different. The language that we use is completely different. And the same happens in Brazil. So we have a global team supervising this brand strategy and ensuring that there is consistency. But then we have local approaches for each of the geos where we are operating. So again, it's a balance between the consistency on a global scale, but then ensuring that you are also perceived as a local brand, which for us is essential in every vertical that we consider.
Yeah, because that's not easy, right? To have that you said to keep it local, but you're a global content creator, so that's something that you need to work on as well.
Absolutely. And the more we expand, the more difficult it is. We started operating in Brazil quite recently after the new regulation on the betting side. And we were obsessed about ensuring it was our first effort outside Africa. We were successful in Africa. We knew that our brand was strong from a product perspective, but also, from a marketing perspective, that we did media buying, we had the TV, we had a lot of different assets on the marketing side that were helping to elevate the Sporty brand. And then you come to a new territory where they've never heard about Sporty. So whilst keeping the consistency that we were discussing, we were obsessed about how to localize Sporty and be perceived also as it doesn't need to be a Brazilian brand, but that you are connected to the Brazilian audience, the language. And from the product perspective, their preferences are also different, their priorities. So you need to have people in each geography where you operate that understand the local market, the local nuances, and that they can advise the global team on how to restructure the platforms to ensure that they resonate within the local audience. And this applies to social media, this applies to media, this applies to every single vertical where we operate.
So with this fan engagement, keeping it local, being global, having the brand awareness, how would you measure the ROI? Is it, the brand awareness? Is it retention? Is it direct monetization? Or what do you look at for that you consider a successful ROI?
It depends on the vertical, and some of the verticals are connected, but we treat them as standalone businesses. And Sporty TV needs to be profitable as a standalone business while supporting other brands of the group. Obviously, on the betting or iGaming space is more obvious, and it's about user acquisition, and it's ensuring that whilst we are providing the best user experience, that we get as much users in our platforms as possible. But then there is these sponsorship efforts, these marketing efforts. We're very data driven, and that's why our marketing is divided into two. We have performance marketing, that it's all about the numbers and ensuring that every single euro that we are spending, that it's being spent in a very, very efficient way. And they are amazing at it. There is the offline part of it that, whilst is equally important to ensure that you understand the value of this investment, it's very hard to calculate what is the impact of a sponsorship with a club, or using an ambassador, or even having a TV channel that is helping you to elevate your brand. We've seen that our efforts are successful and that it has an impact in the other businesses, but still, it's hard to assess. What I know is that from a performance marketing point of view, when someone is going to click in one of our ads, it's not the same if they're familiar with the brand because they've seen TV advertising, or they've seen billboard in the streets, or they see that we have an ambassador. They are more inclined to click and to go to visit our platforms if they're familiar with the brand. And it's hard to measure. We try to do it, and we have our formulas, but having an exact ROI on that is quite challenging. So again, it's a little bit about balance. We will never overspend in sponsorship, but we want to keep elevating the Sporty brand as much as we can, because we know that this is going to have a positive impact for a different budget.
So if we look ahead, it's a fast-paced industry. So looking ahead 5-10 years, where do you see sports media and sports rights landscape going, and where do you see Sporty Group's involvement in that?
I think it's going to be all about user experience and ensuring that you as a platform are offering the best user experience. And this is, as we discussed earlier, a combination of media rights, the quality of the live content that you're offering, combined with bespoke and personalized production shows, content in general for the users. I feel that it is obviously because of the particularities of the African continent, but in a way we were pioneers in this free-to-air model of exploitation of rights. And I think we were also one of the first ones offering free access via YouTube to Serie A, to Bundesliga, to Carabao, those leagues that are, let's say, more open for the broadcasters to exploit the YouTube platform as a different channel, as another way of providing access to fans. But I have doubts. I don't think that there are many industry leaders saying that YouTube is the future. I think it's part of the future, but I also feel that creating your own platforms, and why not improving the experience that YouTube is offering to the users, is another direction. Specifically in Africa, I think the growth of internet penetration, the access to data, is also going to change a lot how fans are consuming football, and we need to be part of it. How are they going to consume in 5 years? It's difficult to say, but I assume that they will be adopting some of the Western consumption methods. I think smart TV is essential. We are already developing a strategy to ensure that we have presence on smart TV. Maybe we arrive a little bit earlier, but we want to be the first ones when the Africans are buying smart TVs, and we want them to see that Sporty TV is already pre-installed in those devices. Brazil, I think, goes a little bit ahead. Brazil, talking about a global scenario, is quite complicated. I think you need to divide by region and maybe country by country. Brazil is more fragmented also in terms of right. But we're in a challenging scenario, and specifically for Africa, I think that free-to-air needs to be a priority for all the main competitions in the world. There's no reach there. They won't get enough eyeballs if they don't prioritize free-to-air. And right now, we are probably the best partner for this in Africa. I'm sure there will be other competitors, but we need to ensure that apart from the right that we are acquiring, that we are offering additional value to our users, and that they are connected to the faces of Sporty TV. And that's what we're trying to build. One good example is in the last 3 days during the Champions League games, we don't have Champions League rights, but we do watch along shows. Here from Madrid, we have 7-8 people in the studio, and they are, yes, informing the audience, the viewers, about what's happening, but reacting in real time to everything happening in those matches. It's not at the level of some of the competitions that we distribute, but we got 600 views across the 3 days, and those fans were just watching some people reacting to their teams, to their stars. And I think this is also adding value, and it's part of the future, ensuring that you are connected not only from a rights perspective, but also from the faces, the personalities of those that are appearing in front of the TV, and that need to be super close to the fans. And from TV, it goes on social media as well. You need to keep this relationship on the social media. So it's a combination. It's always a 360 combination, ensuring that you are as close as possible to the fans, elevating the user experience. And in our case, we are all about innovation. So what is the next feature that you can provide to your users that is going to make your platform differential or more special than anyone else, even if you don't have the same rights? Like, why do you want to turn on Sporty TV potentially on your smart TV or in your phone or in the traditional TV? Or how can you connect all those devices to ensure that maybe it's not one fan, but in Africa especially, there is this sense of community. They watch a lot of games together, the family, the friends. Maybe you have 15 people in front of the TV. What can you offer to the African fans that can change the way of consumption, that can improve the viewing experience? That's where we are. I don't think we have the key to success, but if you innovate and you keep offering new features to fans, I think you're closer to achieving this.
I agree. And I like the idea of the watch party that you said. I don't know if you're aware of Joe Rogan's show, that he's having this segment like the Fight Companion.
Of course.
So they are doing, a similar thing. And that's really popular with the fans as well, that they just watch the fights and then talk about it and they explain what happened. So I think that's definitely something that the fans enjoy.
It's sharing the experience, no? You don't... Yeah, sometimes you probably want to be alone watching a match. If you had a long day of work and you just arrive home and you want to be in front of the TV watching your favorite team. But that might be with your favorite team. But the second day of a Champions League or in a regular weekend with a Premier League game, part of the excitement is sharing the experience with your friends, with your family. And sometimes you are on WhatsApp and you have your WhatsApp group and you're just chatting. But this approach of doing a watch party, of involving several fans, creating small groups, small private rooms where you can watch together, chat, interact, see the reactions of your friends, potentially interact with an influencer or a famous face that is also reacting to this game, I think is part of how the sports consumption is evolving.
So I'd like to get to know the guest a little bit more as well. So how did you get into this career path? How did you get into the sports industry? Where did it start for you?
My initial interest was purely on journalism. I started my career as a TV producer, as an intern in a small sports TV channel called Marca TV that belonged to Marca newspaper. And that's where I started learning about TV production, but also engaging with fans. That was probably 2010 or so. And my favorite part of the programming was a night talk show called Futboleros, which was basically 2.5 hours every night. Very Spanish, starting midnight until 2:30 a.m. in the morning. And it was a mix of highlights from the matches plus traditional talk show, very oriented to the clash between Real Madrid and Barcelona. But there was a more popular show called Chiringuito, very, very popular nowadays within the Spanish-speaking audience, not only in Spain, but in the Americas as well. I joined El Chiringuito and they moved from one channel to Atresmedia. Media. Media is the main commercial broadcaster in Spain. And I started as a producer in El Chiringuito. And it was probably the best learning experience. I spent a lot of time with the presenter, Giuseppe Drerol, that was a genius in terms of how to communicate, how to entertain. We used to do these meetings 6 p.m. The program was the same time as the other, starting midnight. So 6 p.m. we had this newsroom meeting. We thought about what themes are we going to discuss in the program, what could be appealing for the audience. Then he arrived 1 hour later, took the notes, and it's like, no. Today we're talking about this. This is the priority. This is what the audience wants. And it helps you change the perception. And he was also aggressive in the good sense of, pushing the employees to their limits and having this sense of urgency of being the first ones of winning also against your competitors. So I learned a lot about how to produce TV shows that were attractive for the audience. Then I got another role at Atresmedia, and I was the executive producer for Champions League. It was a huge project for the channel or for the group, because it was the first time after many years that they got free-to-air rights to Champions League, the free-to-air package. And that was a very, very entertaining part of my career, because I was, flying to every game, spending 3-4 days in each city, following the teams that we were broadcasting on Antena 3 on the main channel. And I made a good group of friends, traveling around Europe. I was younger. I kind of still miss those days of traveling with friends while working and, of course, learning a lot. Then whilst I was at this production role, I also started helping with the rights acquisition strategy of Atresmedia. And that helped me to get my next move. I moved to Media Pro in Barcelona. I was part of the media rights team. And this is where I learned everything about media rights. We were in charge of the international distribution of La Liga, also a lot of travels to every country in the world to sell La Liga rights, understanding the priorities of the broadcast, the value of those rights compared to other competitions, making a lot of contacts that are now friends in the industry across the globe. And there was a part of it that it was also about new businesses. We were involved with the Belgian Pro League, with the Chinese Super League, and especially with those two competitions, I was trying to find a partner in Africa for those competitions, and I read about Sporty. So I tried to sell those rights to Sporty. Then we started having conversations, and that's when Sudeep, the founder and CEO of the group, he mentioned that he wanted to build a TV channel in Africa, and it sounded as a dream job to me. It had everything. I had a little bit of experience on the content production, media rights, so that sounded like a perfect opportunity. I joined in 2022, and here I am today. Also, probably the best decision of my life.
That's great to hear. And it sounds like everything you have done in your career like prepared you for this role now. You said you got a little bit of content, you got a little bit of media rights, and then now finally you have the toolbox filled.
Absolutely. But the reality is that I work in more corporate environments, especially in Natus Media and Media Pro. And when I joined Sporty, I was not completely aware of the size of Sporty and everything that they were building and the technological capabilities. And still nowadays, Sporty operates as a startup. So the communication, the action, the how to approach the new projects, the structure of the team, it's completely different. And I've learned a lot in the past few years on how to become more efficient and more tech oriented. And nowadays I keep learning a lot. We have brilliant guys from the product, the tech side, of course, marketing as well, the trading teams. It's very special. And also because we are expanding and we are adding new verticals to the group. Very recently as well, last year, we acquired a company that is specialized in building video games. And we are launching our own video games as well. So you're completely new to this industry, but there are points that are common to the other verticals where I had more expertise, but now it's a whole new thing for me, and I'm learning every day from these guys as well. So the learning part of Sporty is also really, really, really appealing, and also part why you can never stop to think and say and reflect and say, oh, the last 3 years. No, it's all about future. What's next? Project accomplished. What is next for us?
Really interesting. And with this experience that you have built up, what is some advice that you would give a young person who wants to work in the sports industry or maybe more like in media rights as you have done?
I think it's all about passion, to be honest, Marcus. I could give personal advices. Hard work is non-negotiable. If you work hard, the chances that you have of succeeding are higher. But that you always take this for granted. But I think you need to follow a little bit your passions and just not feel comfortable. I believe that, changing from one company to the other is part of the natural life of an employee. And it's important that you learn and you make the most out of every single job that you have. From when you're starting as an intern, and there are different personalities, different styles of management. But if you take a little bit of everyone that you are working with, and even in terms of personality, how to treat your colleagues, how to treat management, how to run a team, how to run a project, it's part of the learning phase. But passion to me is essential because sometimes you need to decide between, oh, this seems like the best opportunity. My brain is telling me, let's follow this because it's more secure. I'm in a big company of 5,000 employees. If your passion is in the other direction, if you feel that, I don't know, if you want to you want to build a new internet radio or whatever, and this is your focus and you think that this is where you are heading, feel free to follow your guts, your instincts. There's always a component of luck as well. And I think being well surrounded, ensuring that within the workplace, the work ecosystem, that you appreciate your colleagues and that you also learn from your colleagues. I don't think I can give more or deeper advices than this. I think it's about hard work and passion.
I mean, that's, you say maybe it's cliche with hard work and everything, but still, that's the cornerstone. You need that as well. So it shouldn't be overlooked just because, it's been said a lot of times.
Exactly, and I don't want to sound it's probably against the current trends, and in Spain, for instance, they are trying to limit the number of hours that you work per week to ensure that you can have a good life work balance. To me, something important, and it's probably part of the advice, is if you can, maybe it's a cliche as well, but if you can make your work part of your daily entertainment, then you don't need to worry, because you're gonna be passionate about it. And I think the current flexibility that most of the companies are giving to the employees can be useful in that sense. Maybe you don't need to be from 9 to 5 in a desk. If you want to go and play paddle or a football game at 10 a.m. with your friends, and this will help you to be fresh at 7 p.m. and you want to take the call at 7 p.m. When you have a family, you need to spend time with your family. You can have dinner, you can be with your kids, take them to bed, etc. But why not, if you are passionate about what you're doing, maybe at 10, yeah, I'm talking Spanish time, that is usually later than elsewhere, but you can work for another 1 or a couple of hours. Having the flexibility, if the company allows you to have this flexibility, but you feel passionate about it, I think it's the perfect ecosystem as well. And I feel that now more than ever, this is easier to achieve.
Yeah, I heard that Dana White was talking about that in his company, he said, like, if your kid has a play, you better go watch that. And if you have something you have to do, you do that, because he has hired the people that he knows will do the work. And if he needs to take an hour between 10, 11 a.m. to do something, he knows that the work will be done anyway. So it's what you said, like, if you have the passion and the drive and the trust in your employees that the work will be done, then I think it's a lot to win of having that flexibility.
Exactly. And when you're passionate about something, like I usually, most of my work days are during weekdays, but then our main programming is Saturdays and Sundays. And it's not that I need to be working 8 hours per day on a Saturday or a Sunday, but it's in my own personal interest to see the content that we are producing on a Saturday before an EPL game. And I love it. And it's football, and football is one of my passions. So how could I not be engaged with this part of the work? So that's why passion is so important, and will help you to work harder, because you won't feel that, oh, this is painful, I don't want to be working 8 hours. If you enjoy what you do, it's easy.
I love that. I like to end on a networking question. So who from your network do you think would be a good guest on this show?
Wow, good question. Look, there are obviously a couple of former colleagues from Media Pro, Alex Rotter and Martin Bax, from who I learned a lot, and but they are very, very focused on media rights. Martin spent a couple of years as a CEO of Media Pro Canada, so he has a very interesting story. I have a very good relationship with my former boss at Atlas Media, Jose Antonio Anton, that is the general manager. He's not that focused on sports, but it's also about entertainment. And Atlas Media, they changed a little bit the strategy from quite sports oriented to more general entertainment. Who else? I have a very good friend in Korea that founded Eclat Sport TV, and this is Mr. Kong. So this would be an amazing guest to understand a little bit the context in Asia, and how he's running now. Sport TV has expanded to Southeast Asia as well. He's a brilliant guy. He's also a DJ, so he's a fun person. So I think you would enjoy talking to him as well.
Great suggestions. Elias, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on Sports Management Podcast.
Likewise, Marcos, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to the Sports Management Podcast. Please hit the follow or subscribe button on your podcast app so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. If you want to get in contact with me, send an email to sportsmpodcast@gmail.com, connect with me on LinkedIn or follow the podcast on Instagram, X, and Facebook @SportsM Podcast.